So this next segment that you're gonna see is actually cut out from my wrap-up because I was gonna talk about this book in my wrap-up and then talked about it too long, so I thought it might as well make its own video. Is actually an arc, and that is These Violence Delights by Victoria Namkung. Okay, so the topic matter for this book I think is really important, and it's basically about a sexual assault on young teenage girls that happens at a fancy private school. And the teacher that is like at fault is actually really loved and by all students, teachers, and faculty alike. And basically we follow this young woman that comes forward to a newspaper and publishes an essay about her experience at that school with that teacher, and it just blows up. Basically, it's very of the times, I think, because of all this that's been happening in the media recently, where just like more and more people have been coming forward and saying like, yes, this applies to me too. And that's kind of what happens in this book, within the book as well, that more and more young women come forward and say like, yeah, that happened to me as well, like, oh, I didn't know other girls suffered the same way I did. And for that I think it's really important because it raises awareness and it just discusses such an important matter. But everything else within the book was done very poorly, I would say, and I really did not like it. The first point is that the book does not really read like a story. It reads much more like a manifesto, or like just an essay that the author wrote on the topic of sexual assault as perpetrated by teachers on students. The reason why is because most of the book, especially the first like third of it or something, is very dialogue heavy. Like there's basically exclusively dialogue, and the people are all very self-aware, and they will give like their motivations for everything and like exactly what they were thinking and like going through and like exactly the repercussions that had on them physically and psychologically, and it just does not read like a story. It reads like a non-fiction essay basically. And that's also why you don't really end up caring about the characters, because they're not characters, they're just kind of vessels for the author to discuss this topic through, and more importantly, cram all of her own political views down your throat. I think this is a separate discussion to be had, whether books should be like so overtly political or like should so overtly reflect the author's own political stance. But in this case, I just thought it was so overbearing, and I felt so talked down to and so like lectured in a way. And it was even more annoying because it was so obvious that the author seemed to be like kind of of the camp of like all men are inherently bad, all men have like this inherent tendency to sexually abuse women, like that's just something that they do, that sort of thing. Like, that is not something that I can get behind, that is not something I want to read about, and that is something that I personally think is very wrong and not the right way to tackle such a sensitive issue at all. Just this idea that men are inherently a threat to women, I think just perpetuates this type of like thinking and this type of acting, because if you tell men constantly that they're just supposed to be like that, then they'll be like that. Like that's how, anyway. I'm gonna go on way too long I think, but like I just wanted to read you a few phrases that particularly I was just like, oh, I hate this so much. So this first one isn't too bad, but you can already tell the direction the book is gonna head into. A gift from his wife, I'm sure, as men don't do sentimental things like that on their own. Okay, what? Another gem. Even with our male friends, we have to ask, is he dangerous? Is he going to hurt me? Will he freak out if I say no? Let me tell you something. If you have to worry with your male friends, the people that you consider your friends, that they might just at the tip of a hat like sexually abuse you or say no, or rape you if you say no to their advances, like you have the wrong fucking friends. That is an issue that lies with you in that case. Like if you're at the point of like knowing or like thinking that your friends are people like that, then you have the wrong friends. Like it's not a thing. I don't have that problem. I am 100% sure that none of my friends would ever do something like that to me. But it's just like propagating this idea that women are just like supposed to be scared of men at any time. Like, just in case they rape me. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, get your shit together. Sorry, I just get like so angry at this type of like men hating that's going on in this book particularly. And it's made even worse by the fact that there's barely any sort of redeeming male figures in this book at all. We have men that are vilified for being rapists, and then we have men that are basically have no personality, that just exist to support the female characters, and that have like, they're so weak-willed and like just so freaking non-existent, basically. They're shell of themselves, and the women use that to better talk down to them, and then they'd be like, yeah, I don't know how you even put up with us men because we're such horrible beings. Like, Jesus Christ, can you just stop? Like, one of the men literally says, it's honestly amazing women still want anything to do with us. That is so the wrong message to convey here, really. If you still want to read this book, I recommend you skip ahead a little bit because I'm going to talk about a spoiler here. But at the end of the book, one of the girls that was raped by the teacher decides to take revenge on the teacher by sleeping with his teenage son. Now, let that just sink in for a second. First of all, that is the type of revenge she decides to take. Second of all, that he's a teenager and she's basically doing the exact same thing, except that she's not doing it to the person who actually raped her, but to his son, who is not at fault at all. The woman is an adult, so that is, you know, legally rape as well. And so you might think, okay, maybe this is a moment to also discuss how women can be perpetrators of sexual assault as well and are also capable of raping men. It's not just a one-sided thing. But oh no, it's not. This incident is barely talked about in the book. It happens like, I don't know, 2 chapters off the end or something like that we find out it happened, and then it's just like, oh, and then like one of the characters just goes like, oh, I didn't think that she would do something like that. Like, that is literally all that we get in terms of like dealing with this incident and using it as a teachable moment, even though it really should have been. So this book tries to talk about a really sensitive topic, and it doesn't only fail to properly do so, but it also, I think, you know, goes into a really dangerous direction of blaming all men, hating on men as a collective, and not acknowledging that the reverse, that sort of female assault on men is also a possibility and like is also as condemnable as is the opposite. Like, it doesn't do any of the things it should have done. So it is a no from me. This book gets 1 star. It was so horrible. And so, her political views aside, I think if she had wanted to write about this topic, she should have done so in an essay format, in a blog post or something where she could openly stand by like her beliefs and say like, this is what I think, so that people can also answer to that and criticize her for it and like put like counter arguments forth. Because with a novel, you can't argue with that. She just made these claims and like put them out there for people to consume as fiction and as sort of like a byproduct of reading a book. And like, I am just very angry, can you tell? I don't recommend you read this book at all. It was very bad. If you have read it already, please let me know what you thought of it, because I'm really curious if maybe it's just me. But I'm really, because I did read a lot of positive reviews that were like, oh, thank you for talking about this topic, but it's like, it's not done well. It's like so much misinformation, so many wrong messages that are being sent and are really not helping anyone. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you very soon with another video. Have a lovely week. Bye!